Hey, this is an optional video, but I just want to preface it because it was a quick little screen recording and it's kind of long. So what this is a talk about workflow and storyline. It's a talk about the story view, which is a kind of a macro way of working, uh, mainly, and the difference between working in that macro way and the micro way of working on the individual slides, all the slide stuff like timelines and variable states and triggers. So you got the macro story view and then the micro slide view. And then when you want to just kind of work on a project and kind of organize, storyboard, and think like that, how you can use slide master layouts and slide deck software, whether it's Google Slides, Microsoft PowerPoint, or Storyline itself. You can get a lot of planning and work and layout and thinking organization done using slide masters. And so I show that in my process and how I kind of build out a module in terms of planning, kind of like where you might be right now with getting that beta prototype ready, which, with the storyboarding. So that's kind of the content of the whole video. And I just wanted to say that because maybe you don't need to watch it, but I'll put chapter markers in there so you can skip around. Also, while I've got you here, I added a graphic design and a accessibility page to the website, which again is optional supportive stuff, but it's just kind of like graphic design style support. Because once you kind of building your ideas in your storyboard, kind of style comes last. So after you're getting the bones ready, and then once so anyway, there's the graphics and the accessibility. We'll talk about that in the Zoom when it comes up. So that's kind of the contents of the video. It's a screencast and it's kind of long, so I just want to say what it is so you know what it is if you even want to look at it or not. All right. These questions about workflow came up yesterday in the Zoom session, and I just thought it was interesting. And it has to do with kind of writer's block and storyline. So the situation here is the technology is interesting. So this student has Storyline installed on an old Mac running Parallels, and I believe it's a work computer. So first of all, just opening and working in Storyline, there's a little bit of friction there. It's slow, it's clunky, it just doesn't, it's not a happy to be in software environment to just work in Storyline, the program itself. So that's an important factor here in this discussion. The other one is just how to kind of build. Is it best to bring things in pre-built PowerPoint slides or build directly in Storyline, or what? And kind of how do you organize the project? And the advice here really was important that working in Storyline on an old machine that's slow and clunky, that's an important consideration. So that's if your machine is super fast and you love to be working in Storyline, this might not apply. But so here's the idea. Let's go look at just a Storyline project. I'm working on this project for UDL. And so this is the story view as opposed to the slide view. And so when you think about building in Storyline, think macro and micro. This story view is kind of macro. It's almost like a storyboard and a layout. You can't really see the slide design, but you can see here's a hub like with links on it that goes to different parts of the module. This is kind of like the landing page where you can see you've got 3 choices here. 1, 2, 3, and these are just, think of these could be content or anything. And then off to the side here, I'm building a scenario. I'm not exactly sure how I'll work it in, but I can just build a button and link to this scenario over here, wherever and however I want. And here I'm just working on some ideas. I haven't linked them into the project yet. But the big idea here is think of these scenes as kind of chapters in your module. Okay, so that's a big way, a macro way of looking at things. Another important part about this macro area that came up is when you click on slides, right now you see you don't have anything over here. But the second I click on one of these slides, I get a lot. I get all the triggers that is that are on this slide, and I can edit those right there without having to go into slide view. And then I've got all these slide properties here, which I can determine if I want the table of contents, the navigational menu, to show up or not on that slide, the glossary, resources. I can control all that per slide, and what's really fast about this is if I want to select multiple slides throughout the project, I can just hold down Shift and or Shift Control if I don't want to. Let's see how to do this. Click, Shift Control. No, it's not working. Click Shift Control. Yeah, if you just hold down Control, you just select the individual ones that you want. So say I just want these and I don't want them to have the table of contents. And oops, whoops. Custom? Yeah, I want those to be custom, so I have to select custom, and then now here I can turn this menu on and off for those selected slides. I had to go away from the defaults. So that's one way to kind of have macro control, and see, I can control whether the buttons are going to be on there, the left right buttons, previous, next, and quiz and all that. So and this came up also. So if you built an interaction, say on this slide, and there's an interaction maybe with variables and layers and trigger states, whatever, and you play it through, the first time you play it through, fine, but then you go maybe back over here and you come and play it a second time, everything's off and it doesn't work. So what's up with that? Why is that happening? What we figured out is that you have to decide here how this, say, okay, let's deselect everything, just so we got this interaction and we want it to play the same way on a revisit. So here's that control over here. When revisiting, either resume a save state, but no, we want to reset it every time when you come back to that initial state, so that that interaction plays like it played for the first time. And you've got to set that, or else it won't, or else your interaction will kind of like just remember the last thing it was, and then it'll load like that. So that's your control here when you're building interactions. I think it was a drag and drop interaction, and we just want it to behave the same way. So this is all just to show that there's a macro way of organizing and working and getting things done. The micro way would be, drilling down into the individual slide, and then working in the timeline, states, triggers, variables, and all of that, designing the slider, getting the steps right, and all this stuff. So that's kind of the micro way of working. And then the story view is the macro. Okay, so let's look now at another idea. So say you hate working in Storyline because your machine is not right for it and it's just a bad environment to work in. So what do you do? Now this brings up a really cool way to work that I like, even though I've got a good machine for Storyline. So let's think about this for a minute. We've got some content. We're doing universal design for learning, and what do I want to do before I start building? I just need to plan. I need to sketch, maybe storyboard, mind map, all these visual design methods that kind of look like this. But so here's what I've done. So UDL. So there's content and I need it, right? So I'm going to go over here and I have a notepad. This notepad here is in plain text, and I'm trying to resize it right now. It's in plain text, and why that's important is if I select all this and paste it into any other program, it won't carry style information over, like bold, underline, font sizes, colors, and all that stuff. Because if you've ever copy pasted maybe from a web page into Word or whatever, and you get a bunch of different styles, you know what a headache that can be trying to sort and figure all that out. So when you have a plain text document like this with this just text, no style, and you copy paste into anything else, wherever else, you're just getting the text and not all the style information. So that is a really nice way to work. I like it. So it keeps things clean, and all I care about really is the content here. And so what I've done is I have got a slide. I keep a little design journal here with every little project, just to kind of keep track. And what I've done here is I know UDL, I know the content, I know the site cast.org that I'm going to get and build the content for the module. Okay, so what I wanted to do quickly was I wanted some questions, right? So I wanted some questions and I wanted feedback. So I went to ChatGPT 4 and I gave it some prompts. I recorded the prompts. Let's see. I cre I created a branching scenario. The first thing I did was I asked for it to create questions. True false questions, multiple choice questions, drag and drop questions, more multiple choice questions, and I wanted it to ask it to create questions for UDL. I don't have the exact prompt right now, I don't know where that went, but and I also wanted feedback. So I wanted correct feedback, right? So it gave me all of this. So I copy paste this in here and I've already got a lot of content. So here I have 10 questions for my UDL module. Okay. Great. Then I said, well, give me a branching scenario, and here's, I have a prompt. Anyway, this is going into too fine a detail, but I generated a lot of this content using ChatGPT. Then I go through it and I verify that it's accurate and I use it and I throw away what I don't want. I might change some of the stuff, but it's really, really sped up my process. It's like I've got the SME right here. For this topic, I'm a little bit of the SME, but I needed something fast. I didn't want to think of all these questions. Okay, so this is getting a lot of work done outside of Storyline in a modular way in a plain text document where you're getting a lot of your content built. And you can kind of continue to work in this way, a simple way with just kind of, okay, so maybe some graphics that you want in these questions where you could just write down here, put a graphic. So this is kind of like storyboarding, but a little bit leaner, a little bit leaner. Okay, so here's that's that. So the other piece of this is the slide layout. Now this is getting more into kind of design and storyboarding, but we'll go into let's just go into a blank slide, just a Google slide. And if we just try to add some slides, we see these layouts are all built here, right? So that is that's what we want to do. That's where we want to be. So if I can remember, every slide deck software has something like this where you can edit the theme, I think. Yeah, and now we have the layouts. Okay, and these are the stock layouts, and they're fine, but I want to add a new one if I can. If I can, where do I do that? Can I just right click on it? Yeah, new layout, new layout. Yeah, okay. So, okay, real quick. So let's go with, I'm going to switch from UDL to birds. So it's something I can easily remember. Say I'm doing birds and I've got 4 birds, a cardinal, a crow. Say I've got 2 birds. So for the birds chapter in Storyline, I really just want to have maybe to get the ball rolling. Let's just go crow. And we'll double click. Oh, and we don't really fill in. Can I not type? Okay, it's fine. Let's close this. I don't need that. Let's rename it. So this layout will be content. We're just laying out some content for each bird, and so I'll call this content for birds. And so this particular slide will kind of be my layout for that. So what I'll want is I will want to insert an image placeholder. And let's just use a rectangle. And now I want it to be, let's say I just want it over here. I want a picture of the bird there. And now I think I'm going to use placeholders for everything. I just need placeholders. So maybe a text placeholder. Okay, a body text placeholder. Now, so up here will be the name of the bird, and here will be where I will put the text. And I'm just going to ignore all that noise for right now, but I do want to get my alignment right, because what I'm doing is I'm kind of building the style. And I can adjust this later, but now say sometimes I'm going to want a navigation button here. Maybe I want to skip out of the TOC navigation and the player navigation, and I want to just have a little more control. I don't know why, but maybe I just want a button down here. So does it do shape placeholders? No. Well, let's just do an image placeholder. And this would be kind of, let's see if I can control drag and make two. So these would be two little nav buttons down here, and get the alignment right. Everything's aligned good and clean. And so this is a really basic birds layout, so that now when I go over here and I want to add a slide, I can go to content birds, and then I've got the layout, and so I can do it over and over again, and every time it's it's doing what I need. It's getting a nice I got the phone ringing in the other room. Hold on. Okay, I'm back. I get more spam phone calls than I cannot imagine. Using the theme, the slide layout, you see here now that you're kind of getting into storyboarding here using the layouts, and you build it once when you edit the theme. You edit the theme, and it's a little bit different for Google Slides, Microsoft PowerPoint, and then it's a little bit different over in here too, but same idea. You just go over here to view, and then you've got slide masters. You click slide masters, and it's the same idea here. You can insert a layout, and then here, we can do the same thing. We design this page. Well, let's just call it I want to retitle this. I don't know if I title it here. Can I title it there? Or is it a placeholder or what? How does that work? I have placeholders. I'm going to just delete everything. Clean. Can I get out? Can I delete that? Yeah. Okay. So now, great. So these are all the placeholders, right? So text. It's going to snap and everything, and I'm going to not like that size. Well, 18, but it's a heading, so I'm going to go higher. I'm going to go to 32. I'm going to make it bold, and I'm going to call it. I guess I can change this later. I can't type in here. Wait, I can. Okay, so bird content, and so I'm going to spend a lot of time getting this all aligned and pretty. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put another place in here. I'm going to do the picture. Here's the picture of the bird. Great. Now maybe it looks like I've got more choices here. Ooh, I can get a character. So now let's just get the character over here talking to us about the bird. And so we got a character over here and a picture, and maybe they'll do some talking, or I could put a text placeholder here. But if I was building a series of interactions, maybe I'd want to put some text here and a few buttons down here. Let's just quickly put a little text right here. A little text box, maybe not too much, just maybe some instructions for what we want to do. And then maybe we want to, let's see, content. No, not really. Well, I do want to put some buttons. So I just want squares or something like that. So I just want like maybe two choices. I don't know what this would be. Wait, I don't want to insert that. I want to see if I can just, delete that. I just want to click that and see if I can hold control and drag it. Yeah, it's where it's the exact same. And maybe align it like that. And I can come back and edit this, but now this is called birds, and I think I've got it renamed. Let's make sure it's named right. I I want to call this bird module. Okay, so that's good. I've built this one layout, and you can do this for all kinds of different. This is like storyboarding. So close, and then get into a. I just want to add something now. I want to add a new slide, but I want to go to the bird module. And now you see I've got everything all ready to fill in, and everything's aligned and looking how I want it. And if I want to go change it, I can just go back into the slide master and make my little adjustments over here in the slide master, not in the actual slide. And then this will apply to all the slides that have this particular layout. So that is and was the point of making this video, to kind of respond to that idea of is it best, how do you organize a project? That's the one. And is it best to bring in this from PowerPoint into Storyline? My personal opinion is no, unless you have tons of content already built in PowerPoint. But the problem with that is that depending on how involved and styled up those PowerPoint slides are, it may be more of a hassle to deal with that than just putting it in from scratch into Storyline. If you have animations and just a lot of style, and if you really got it like that in PowerPoint, bringing it in sometimes just is more of a hassle to readjust it. Now, if you love working in PowerPoint or slides, you could build your layouts in that way and import them into Storyline. Like if you didn't have a computer that ran Storyline well, you could do it like that, import it, but just build those slides using the most basic generic style, like Arial font everywhere. No playing around with line weights or colors or anything, and just brutally simple like a storyboard layout. So those were the that came up in the session, just how to think about do a workflow in Storyline. And so that is how to use slide masters to build and conceptualize layouts, and that is how to use and go in between the micro view of the slide where you design the interactions, the layers, the states, the triggers, all that stuff, the questions and how there's feedback and all that stuff. But then the macro design area where you can work here and select slides and adjust slide properties and customize the player to either have the menu or not and all that kind of stuff, and even look and edit triggers and control how slides link to each other throughout your module. So this is the macro view versus the micro view, and then how to use slide layouts and themes to make storyboarding and layout go quicker and more efficiently and more consistently in your design for modules when you want to work fast.